Well, let's officially start day 3, shall we? This morning I brought the trailer back and dropped that off at U-Haul. Went to AutoZone, got a bunch of stuff, oil pickup tube, oil filter, and just a bunch of random stuff, flywheel bolts and all that jazz. So I got that out of the way, went to Harbor Freight, bought a few things, including a shelf setup because I have way too much stuff here for this build. So I'm gonna build that, try and organize a little bit, and then I'll get started on messing with the motor and getting the motor to the point where I can start dropping it in and making motor mounts. Let's see what we can get done today. This morning got sucked away with all the regular, and also I went food shopping. That way there for the next 10 days or whatever, I don't even have to leave the property for food or anything like that. So lunches, breakfast, dinners, all that's all set. So yeah, so productive morning, but nothing has been touched here yet. Let's get to it. Well, it's not a huge shelf, but it's a shelf. It's like 30 bucks. I don't want to spend 60 bucks on the bigger one. So got some of the stuff up on here. Got some spray paints I had in my garage. Got brake clean, wire brushes, a bunch of hardware and stuff for my storage unit, and just, you know, all the supplies and stuff. I think I already showed you, gaskets and whatnot. So now that's in here, I'll do a little bit more organizing around here. And I gotta roll the car forward and deal with something on the passenger side real quick, and then I'll get onto the motor. Well, there it is. Just the tiniest little bit of a notch to let the oil get from this ring up into there. Because the way they run, it's like excess oil, that film between the hole and the lifter is supposed to oil it. And the reason why they do that is typically on a high lift solid cam, you're revving at high RPMs, and you don't want to fill the valve covers with oil and starve the oil pan. So they typically will get enough oil, but if the bore diameter is a little bit snug, it won't get no oil or not enough oil. So this is just a little bit extra. This will just give it that little extra path just to guarantee there's a little something getting up there. So they don't need a lot. So I nicked them all. I hit them with a little smooth file just to make sure there are no little burrs. Wipe them down, I'll brake clean them and then put them in oil before I drop them in. And then we'll go through adjusting the lifters. And just realized I didn't grab my feeler gauges. We'll see if Colby has some in his box. So, back to it. Alright, so I'm here working on this motor. Next step, now that I modified the lifters, I had to put them in and I have to adjust the valves. Now typically you have a feeler gauge, you put the feeler gauge under the rocker arm, between the rocker arm and the valve. Feeler gauge is nice, perfectly smooth, like stainless steel polish surface shim. So you set it to that and you keep sliding in and out till you just have a tiny bit of friction and you know your adjustments right there and you lock it down. Well, I'm not working where I'm normally working. My tools are 40 minutes away. I have this cheap Pittsburgh micrometer. It's digital, and there's no battery in it. And because it's digital, there isn't measurements on it that you can read. Like that's where it takes the measurement from that top edge. And I'm trying to get 20 thousandths. And sorry, not 20. Anywhere between 22 and 25 thousandths is where they say they want it to be. So I was thinking, smooth, consistent, and straight, razor blades. So the blade inside this, it's nice and smooth on the edges, on the sides, and it's consistent thickness typically. So I lock this down onto that measurement of the diameter of this with the low lock so it can't move. And then I got to figure out what this measurement is now to see if that's going to work. Well, I got a spark plug gapper. And if you put this on, let's see if we focus. Slide that down. They're like right at 24 thousandths. We want to be between 22 and 25. I think 24 is good enough. And I'll just set it just a tiny little bit of extra friction on it. It'll be fine. So now I don't have to run to the store and buy feeler gauges or buy a battery for this silly little thing or anything else. So now I can keep moving on. I'm going to take that razor blade out and I'm just going to use that and get these things set and move on. Always got to find a way. You got to always keep thinking outside the box. It keeps you sharp over time. So getting ready to put the lifters in, just kind of wiping everything down, making sure all the studs for the rockers are clean and the tops of the valves are clean, make sure there's no dirt, debris or anything. I'm wiping off this one right here. I'm like, damn it. So if you look at this one, see how that valve stem is sticking out? That one, the valve stem is recessed. And then if you look across all of them, you can see I'm rocking on a high point on that one. So something's up with the keeper on that. Oh boy. Well, let's see if my brother's got a valve spring compressor here. If not, I'll have to improvise, get that off and see what's going on in there. Maybe I can steal, maybe if it's a retainer, that's the problem, just for this event. Maybe I can steal, there's a two-piece retainer in there, so maybe I can take the one that's good, take one half of the retainer, take this one, take one half of the one that might be too thin of a diameter, put it in that one, put the other half in this one. So like one comes down a little, one goes up a little bit. Maybe it'll get me by. But let's see what's going on. And Dana and Scott, I know this is hack work, but this is a one weekend event and I know nothing about the motor. I mean, this thing could be just about to blow up anyway. So let's see what happens. Let's see what I find. Okay, so I battled with it. Didn't have a tool, but I drilled a hole in this huge adjustable wrench coil we had and put it on the stud and kind of used it as a valve spring removal tool. Absolutely not ideal, but I did get it off and switched one of them around. So I put one from one valve to the other, one from the other valve to the other, and it did change it a little bit. So if you look, now it's actually sticking up some. So I think it just had the wrong keepers in it. So at this point I got to get test fitting and all that stuff. So I think I'm gonna put the rockers in. I know which ones they are. The number 2 is cylinder number 2. So it's all the way in the front. Easiest ones to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lifters in, put the push rods in, adjust the rockers, get the oil pan changed and the pickup tube, and probably just loosely fit the transmission onto it and start getting this thing dropped in. I got to see what other hurdles I have to jump through, because the biggest delay in all this stuff is relying on waiting on parts, or having to find something to drive 3 hours to get it, or wait a week for it. So if I got to come back and revisit this, I'll come back and revisit that. It's still together. The keepers are holding in good. They're all the way in. They're not bumping on the edges. So they're holding. So worst case scenario, the rocker may touch the edge of the retainer, but there was no marks on it on the rocker that was on it, or on that. There's all marks on it now from that not a valve spring compressor I was using. So I'm going to ignore this for right now, keep it in the back of my mind, probably revisit it, and I'm pretty sure I could rip out a couple of these and go down my buddy's machine shop and grab a couple of options, put them in, and get the height set to where I needed to. But at this point, it's Friday afternoon. They're not going to be open for the weekend anyway. So I'm just going to keep moving forward. We'll come back and revisit this at a later date. But yeah, so I'm going to continue on. Enough talking. Back to work. All right, so not far along, found another problem. One of the lifters on the far side was getting stiff when it would go all the way down, and one of them was a little stiff coming out. And I just assumed it was like a little varnish, whatever. So didn't really pay no mind. Now I'm putting it together and it's getting stiff. And you know, they all have a little bit of like scraping on the sides, a little bit of wear and whatnot. So I polished it down with a little cookie, and let's see if this will pick up on it. Look at that crack coming right out of the top of that oil hole. Couldn't see it before with all the markings on it, because like, you know, that's the other one. Like you can see there's all different burnishings and stuff like that. But you can see the crack right out of the top of that thing. Went straight up. Anybody got a old school pair of Crower solid small block Chevy roller rockets? If not, I may have to run them. In the meantime, I'm going to flip it around and put it on the same cylinder that's got the questionable retainers on it. So I know that one cylinder, I can go after all that. So I'm going to continue on, just kind of loosely putting this together. I might not even adjust the valves at this point. Like I said, I got to get this thing in and see any other issues. So back to it. Right, all adjusted. So just remember, if you have to adjust solid lifters on like a small block Chevy or probably any generic V8, this razor blade, no name brand, I think it was Stanley though, but that's about 24 thousandths. So that's what I set it to. We'll see how it goes later on. I mean, this all lifters, they always sound like trash anyway, but they're all dead even and they're all right in the ballpark. That's good enough for now. So got all the push rods, rockers on, all that adjusted. I went through and ran a tap through all the bolts, all the header bolts and accessory bolts and motor mount bolts and belt housing bolts that ain't being used right now. Just to clean them all up. They were all like boogered up with a ton of paint and stuff like that. But I'm about to pull the oil pan off, and the oil pan's all Allen bolts, so that's kind of cool. Somebody spent a little extra. But the side of a block was ground down and says EJB. It's like ground flat in that area and then ground in with that. I don't know if that's a builder or guy that owned it. I was afraid the car was going to get stolen or something. But weird. Gonna be interesting to pull this off to see if it's like forged crank, if it's got aftermarket rods and stuff like that with everything else that's in it. I wouldn't be surprised, so we'll find out in a minute. Well, she all looks good underneath. It is a forged crank. It's super clean. It's definitely been balanced, for sure. Stock rods, ARP bolts. Definitely aftermarket. Substantial dome pistons. You can even tell from the bottom. And it's clean. I was hoping to reuse the oil pump just because I don't trust parts nowadays. And I just got the pickup tube for the regular one. But that's all brazed in there, so that pump's gonna have to come off, and I'll have to pick up the pump in the morning. So unfortunately I'm kind of dead in the water at the moment, and it's getting laid out for making noise for the neighbors also. So yeah, here's a closer look at it. And that's not wiped down or anything, that's just how clean it was. Yeah, see how that's all brazed into the oil pump. So, get a new oil pump. And then, I don't know if it'll focus in there. But you can even see the taper in the top of the piston. Show how domed it is. I don't see any markings on it though. I'd have to go in with a borescope and look up from inside. But there's the wide mark on the crank. That shows that it's forged and not cast, I believe. Yeah, the cast is the thin line. I remember right. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm gonna have to Google it to make sure. But I thought forged was a wide casting or a wide band, and cast was just like a thin little sliver there. I'll do a little research tonight. But yeah, so this might be it for the night. And basically, like I said, we got the rockers all in, lift is all in. Everything's thoroughly adjusted with my razor blade shim. And I chased all the holes and everything. So all the bolts will go in nice. Went outside and scrubbed down the intake because that was pretty nasty. The block's still pretty dirty. I think if I call it here tonight, then at that point I can pull it out tomorrow and probably just give it an engine degreasing and paint it. Why am I painting it? This is a rush project. I shouldn't be painting it. But I might be painting it. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the night, find some food, and then in the morning, go get an oil pump and work on getting the oil pump in, oil pan on, and then probably do the intake and valve covers so I can decrease it if I want. But at that point, I can start bolting up the transmission, and maybe I should clean that too. Nah, screw it. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow, midday, engine tranny sitting in there figuring out motor mounts. Thanks again for watching. I'm going to need a little more luck. It's slow go right now, but it's going to speed up once this thing sits in and I get a little ambition.